Taxi got his first sequel in 1988, and it's a big departure from the original. The first thing you notice is that it stars none of the original cast. All of the characters have been replaced with different actors. You would assume that Taxi's girlfriend is technically the same character, played by Phoebe Leger in the sequel, except her name was Sarah in the first movie, and Claire here.
And most important, my best girl Claire.
I wouldn't expect much in the way of continuity from a Troma film, and in fact their later film, Terror Firmer, lampoons this overlooked element in the film industry.
Continuity.
What you talking about?
None of these shots will match.
I don't think anyone's going to notice.
But it's always been a topic of debate amongst die-hard Troma fans. Is she in fact the same character, or not? I guess it doesn't matter because, like in the first film, she's a ditzy blind woman. The villain in Part 2 is a greedy corporation called Apocalypse, which wants to run Taxi out of Tromaville so it can take over the city. They try to blow him up, and when that doesn't work, they get his psychiatrist to convince him to look for his long-lost father in Japan.
Even comic book villains like us know if you want it done right, you must turn to Japan.
Why Japan, and more importantly, how could an independent film company, like Troma, afford to shoot there? Apparently, director Lloyd Kaufman had ties with some Japanese investors who were excited at the prospect of a Toxic Avenger sequel. A deal was struck, and before we knew it, Taxi's new adventure was taking place in the land of the rising sun. Taxi rescues a girl named Masami and eventually finds his father, who turns out to be a corrupt drug lord hired by Apocalypse to finish Taxi off with a chemical called anti-Tromaton. Taxi ends up murdering his father and then heads back to Tromaville, where he sets things right. The final scene has Taxi chasing a mad biker across town, in a hovercraft. It's the most memorable scene in the film.
Hey, what's sorry about that, Cammy? I'm the Toxic Avenger.
Holy shit!
But like the first movie, it ends anticlimactically, and we find out that Taxi's real father was in New Jersey the whole time. A lot of people who somehow get into the first movie don't take to the sequels as well. The first time I saw this one on cable, I didn't understand why it was so drastically different. The monster's makeup looks nothing like it did, with the filmmakers opting to create a rubber mask as opposed to using complex appliances. I guess so that it was easier to take off at the end of the day. The actors look nothing like the characters they're based on, and Taxi sounds like a teenager.
I had an accident a while back, and it affected my biochemical makeup. So every time I sense evil, these Tromatons inside me force me to destroy it.
The first movie was tongue-in-cheek, but it also had its serious moments. There were parts that were pretty disturbing. The sequel is more of a comedy. It's gory, but the violence looks like it draws inspiration from the Three Stooges. Not necessarily a bad thing, but it wasn't what I was expecting from a Toxic Avenger sequel. As I got older, the film grew on me, and I appreciate it as its own thing. It's not as strong as its predecessor, which I still believe is an all-around good movie, and it's hard to deny its silliness. At the end of the day, I guess it just depends on how you like your entertainment. Your ability to enjoy this one more or less depends on whether or not you like Troma movies. I haven't found many people who actually like this one, but if you're looking for some goofy exploitation, you could do a lot worse.